It is a momentous occasion at the 2019 Cricket World Cup final when the Black Caps face off against England. And here are the key battles. It's Kane Williamson versus Ben Stokes, Trent Bolt versus Johnny Bairstow, Mitchell Santner versus Joe Root, Ross Taylor versus Adil Rashid, Martin Guptill versus Chris Wokes. The question is, who will be the new champion?
Hello and welcome to the last episode of Game Plan Legends in England, coming to you from Oval, just about 15 minutes from Lord's, the venue of the World Cup final. It's been an absolute 42 days of manic action, a fantastic World Cup, and now we have the two finalists. Congratulations, England. Congratulations, New Zealand. With me today, Round of Fans, this special program brought to you by Fanatic Sports and Star Sports. On my right, Clive Lloyd, 2 World Cups, 1975, 1979, and he said, I know a little bit about sport. I said, too little. 1983 World Cup runner-up, finalist 100 and 102 in that first World Cup. 15 years, his team hardly lost a match. He does know too little about cricket. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Clive Lloyd. He's the only person who's not won a World Cup, but last year in September, I was here in this cricket ground for 5 minutes. We did not stop clapping because he had played his final test match, scored 100, and that was something. He predicted in one of these episodes, Game Plan Legends in England, England has to play 4 games, 3 knockouts, and then the final. Also said, all they need to do, play off the Indian new ball bowlers, England's resurgence will start. He's got a new job, predictor on Fanatic Sports and Star Sports. Put your hands together for Sir Alastair Cook. He's too close to me, so I'll say this. He's now a former World Cup winner. He's giving the trophy away. Is he giving it to Alastair? That's a real friendship, England and Australia. Star Sports wanted this, the two of them together, not me. Put your hands together. Absolute legend, Micheal Clarke.
Thanks.
And last but not the least, 70 years and 2 days. Michael says 45 years. Alastair says 34. Clive Lloyd says, could I have as much money as Sunil Gavaskar has? Maybe not. All of us say Indian cricket got its teeth and muscle because of this man. 1971 was a revolution. Sunil Gavaskar. I'll start with you, Alastair, your team. England's made the final, home ground, Lord's, great occasion, 4th time lucky. All of us feel they are overwhelming favourites.
I think so. I think halfway through the Australia game, when we'd bowled Australia for 220 odd, if we'd have said chase 220 against Australia in the semi-final, you got New Zealand in the final, every one of that England team, every England fan would snap your hand off with that opportunity in front of the players. They had a bit of a dodgy couple of weeks in the tournament, but they're playing like that game yesterday was just the most phenomenal game for an England fan. They showed their power. They bullied Australia. Australia was so used to Australia bullying England in all forms over the last, in the 90s and early 2000s, and actually for that one time we got our own back and we bullied Australia and played such brilliant cricket that it is almost men against boys, and it was men against boys, but you're kind of actually forgetting that those boys are Steve Smith, David Warner, Pat Cummins, Mitchell Stark, brilliant cricketers, and England just played a level which I don't think any other side can play to, and if they do that half to that level against New Zealand, they will become world champions for the first time.
I thought sledging was ugly. That was the most lovely sledge of all.
I think that's fair. I think what Cookie's saying is spot on. I think Australia got dominated by England in all facets of the game. Batting, bowling, fielding, England outplayed Australia. I think it starts by the way England bowled. To be able to restrict Australia on a pretty good batting surface to that amount of runs, the game was over there. So, the fact that how quickly England chased the runs, I think, a big part of that was Aaron Finch keeping the field up. Bowlers probably looking for wickets every ball. But, yeah, there was a huge gap between the two teams. England were outstanding from ball one, and unfortunately for Australia, they suffer the consequences of that.
Before I come to Sunny, you said in the first episode of Game Plan Legends in England, New Zealand will make the final. Perhaps the only person to say that?
And I didn't have a bet.
You should have.
No, I think because of the all-round strength, they're a much better side than years ago. I think they have some pretty good players, it's no doubt about it. And they're well led. I think the captain has been at the forefront. He leads by example. He bats extremely well, and he gets the players to bat with him. And that, to me, is getting the best out of your players, and that means that he's a very good leader. And as I said, they don't have those sort of bits and pieces players that they had years ago.
Don't use that
These are
word,
genuine
bits and
all-rounders. Sorry. Yes, I think they deserve to be there. They played extremely well, but I think it's going to be quite exciting if both teams can fire on that day. It should be a very good final.
Sunny, the nation is still in mourning back home in India, but New Zealand were better on that day. I mean, they played well. They deserved to be in that final. 15 finalists, 19 finalists. There's something about that team.
Definitely. I think it's at the World Cup that, New Zealand seems to overachieve. Something about the World Cups, and you find them, they're always in the semis and the finals. They won the Champions Trophy way back in 2000. And it's something about the way they seem to sort of lift their game up for these competitions. And they fully deserve to be in the finals. And like we said on the eve of that India-New Zealand game, if India don't lose wickets in the first 3 wickets in the first 10 overs, then India will be hard to beat. Similar was the situation with the Australian batting. In the first 10 overs, they lost 3 wickets. And that's always very, very difficult to make up. And that's what happened. And that's why we have a situation where India is not in the finals. You could argue about many things, about Dhoni's batting order. Should he have come up? But at the end of the day, when it's all done and dusted, you've got to say that New Zealand kept their nerve. Look at the catching. Yeah. Look at the fielding. They knew they didn't have too many runs on the board, but the way they didn't give an inch away, that showed that they were determined to put one across.
We keep talking about the top 3. They get runs, they get hundreds, we win. Same with Australia. Aaron Finch, David Warner, maybe Steve Smith. New Zealand, overwhelming reliance on Kane Williamson, Ross Taylor. England, 5 hundreds from 5 different people. 5 people have gotten hundreds. Ben Stokes, 5 50s. So the overall balance in that England side, is that sort of making them the team to beat, the real team in this white ball contest?
I think you just said the real team there. Like, you can pick faults in almost the Indian team, that they're too heavily reliant on Kohli and Sharma to score the runs. All same with Australia. Finch and Warner don't get the big runs at a certain rate, then their middle order comes under pressure. But you look at the England side, they've got the top, as you say, 5 people have scored hundreds. You've got Ben Stokes, Joss Buttler isn't included in that group. So you're looking at 7 batters who can really do some damage to the opposition. I think the overall side of that, and then we go in with 5 seamers and a spinner, and Joe Root, if we want to as well, the 7th bowler, if you want the ball to spin away. I feel as if we're the most all-round team. I'm going to go back to Micheal Clarke, what he said about this England side. For 4 years, they've been the trendsetter. They've set the trend how to play the cricket. Things always evolve over time, and if this 4 years, it's been England getting 470, chasing 380, getting 400. I don't know how many times they got 400 the last 4 years, but they've pushed the boundaries of how to play one-day cricket, and that's why they are over, in my eyes, they're the favourites for this game, and they've been favourites for the World Cup, and they had a little bit of a blip in those couple of games, and in one way it's been a blessing, I think, for that blip against Sri Lanka when they went back to batting kind of the way I played my one-day cricket, in our shell, just knocking it around and carefully trying to get 220, and they didn't get it. In the semi-final against Australia, 220, and they smashed it. Nathan Lyon came on in the 10th, 1 over. It's a big moment of the game. England haven't played Nathan Lyon very well in one-day cricket. The ball is turning. We saw Adil Rashid turning the ball towards the end of his spell. Jason Roy, have a look at it, hits it for 6, 83 metres. Almost like that's unheard of for an England side, almost unheard of any side to do that. And that's why I think they're so justifiably favourites to the World Cup. I genuinely think they're going to bully New Zealand in the final. One caveat is Trent Bolt, the slope we saw against England how they played Australia, the slope of the left armers. You know, if he gets it right, he might cause a problem, but I don't think England will feel like that. They'll think, how do I score off him? How do I attack Trent Boult? How do I put pressure back on Trent Boult? That's the way these guys are thinking about the cricket. They're thinking it in a different way, and that's why I think that we are going to finally break our duck and people stop saying a side never to win the World Cup.
Fantastic. Clive, you've won it twice and made the final one time. Can you talk about the final pressure? I mean, what will it be like for these England players walking out in front of Lords, 25, 30,000 people, immortality sort of waiting for them, each of them? Can you talk about that, the occasion, the pressure, the whole thing?
Well, the occasion is obvious that you know, there's been pressure on both sides. None of them have ever won a World Cup. So they go out there still thinking that, you know, we have to be careful, we can't be complacent. If you look at the batting line, England's got a better first five than New Zealand's first five. So if England do lose a couple of wickets, they do have batting lower. They have guys who can consolidate and build a good innings there. New Zealand really relies a lot on the captain. So if they lose a couple of wickets, they could be in a bit of bother. But I feel that it's one of those situations. To me, if I'm a player out there and a captain, to win the World Cup, you know, you're playing in a World Cup final, to be champions, to be called champions for the 4 years, it's got to be that is something that will give you a lift.
Kane Williamson versus Eoin Morgan. Can you set that up for me as one of the best captains the world has seen?
Two brilliant captains. I thought Kane Williamson the other day was outstanding against India. I think on a number of fronts, the way he... and I don't know if it was because New Zealand didn't score as many runs as they would have liked, so that might have forced Kane's hand to be quite aggressive, but I think his approach from ball one in regards to the guys he used up front with the new ball, the fields he set, field placement, and then even all the way, like I think about that last wicket, the DRS review, after that he got that last wicket, New Zealand had won the game, the camera went to Kane Williamson and the celebration was still like, it's fantastic we won this game, it's so important, but there's another game to go. There was no overexcitement. He just controlled his team very well, and if I was judging man of the match for that game against India, it would have went to Kane Williamson for his leadership, not just his batting performance. I thought he was outstanding. And Eoin Morgan's been exceptional for a long period of time now. I think he's, you know, one of the things that I always, and still to this day, always respected about Cookie was the criticism that he copped from, you know, media, past players, you know, influential people through his career, yet he still had the courage to back his own ability, play his natural game and lead the team as well as he could to so much success. I feel like Eoin Morgan's probably experienced a bit of that as well. You know, he copped so much criticism, and the team did, the one-day team did after, you know, a horrible defeat in 2015 World Cup. And when you watch that journey as a past player that's been a part of, you know, the highs and lows of sport and copping criticism at a certain amount of times, it makes you have the ultimate respect for those people and for the team when it does have success. And that's probably how I feel about Eoin Morgan. I think he's a fantastic leader. He's very strong in the fact that you can cop that criticism personally and as a captain, and yet still have the discipline day after day to get out of bed and help your team have success. So, you know, I think it's a great indication of you got the two best teams that have earned the right to be in the final. No matter what people think, they've earned the right to be here. And you got two captains that I think have played an integral part in their team being here.
I remember you telling me one time that you need to play ugly to be successful in cricket, test match cricket more so. Eoin Morgan, the moment he comes in, Mitchell Starc and Pat Cummins comes and starts bowling short. He looks ugly, he scores. He's willing to fight. Yes, it's giving back to some maybe former players, Kevin Peterson, somebody else, but I mean, you know, it got the best out of Ravindra Jadeja, it got the best out of Eoin Morgan. Can you tell me about it? I mean, a player's mindset when you cop criticism, as Michael said, then to come and make a point, sort of stand up for your country. Yes, you look ugly, but you deliver.
Yes, the point is that not always you can strike the ball around. Sometimes you edge a couple, you get dropped and so on. But the point is, you look ugly, but you still get that score of 80, which might be much better than getting 140. And that is the time, like when India played the other day, that is the time the middle order should have come to the party. They needed to dig in and sort of get themselves out of that sort of run. That is what you have to do. At times, you'll bat ugly, but the score that you make would be twice the day when you're batting extremely well. So the point is that, yes, there are times that you have Kane Williamson, made 148, won 6, 10 fours. So he just knocked it around. He stayed there, and he saw his team home. And you'll have to do that on occasions. And that's the sign of a good team. We played 3 World Cups. We lost 2 games, and both to England, and both to India, and one of them was the final. So 2 World Cups we played and did not lose a game. So the point is that we had guys who were just as young as some of these fellows here, but we had that spirit. We wanted to do well. And I don't think anybody has got to, to give you any extra to play for your country. When you're playing for your country, when you put on that crest in your chest, it should mean the world to you. And I remember Dravid asking me once in the West Indies, on the first day of every test match, the guys came with their ties and their blazers and so on. He said, well, why do they do that, Clive? I said, well, I wanted them to realize what they represent. And that, to me, is something that you have to still instill in people, that playing for your country is the ultimate.
When you have Clive Lloyd, Sir Alastair Cook, Micheal Clarke and Sunil Gavaskar, time flies. I've got to take a very quick break here on Game Plan Legends in England, my final 10 minutes with them after this very short break. Keep watching, because this is a fabulous show, and for the last time. So keep watching, back after this break. Back after the break for the finale, Game Plan Legends in England, for one final time with my 4 guests. Sunny, your World Cup vignettes. What will you remember this World Cup for? If you close your eyes, your memories of this World Cup.
Well, obviously some of the batting that we've seen has been, tremendous. But also at the same time, there have been a couple of fabulous deliveries. Kuldeep Yadav to bowl Babar Azam. Micheal Clarke to get rid of a well-set Ben Stokes. Ben Stokes was batting 79 or 89, and to get that Yorker going, that was outside. The fielding's been absolutely amazing right throughout this tournament. Yes, there have been the odd drop catch, but the fielding, the direct hit runouts. I think a lot of people actually go to see good fielding when you know that there's a fielder. Like, for example, when John T. Rhodes or even Clive was playing, people went to just see them field. There was the batting and the bowling, but they were also hoping that the ball would go to a Clive or a ball would go to a John T, and because then they wanted to see how they would pick up and have a direct hit. So those were the things that you remember. So this is what this World Cup leaves you with.
Yeah, I think the one thing that stands out for me is we're going to see a new World Cup winning team and captain. That somebody's going to hold that trophy up in a couple of days, that, a country that's never done it before. So I think that's brilliant for the game. I think that's exciting for the game. As much as we have our own teams and would always like to see our team win, I think in regards to the game of cricket, it shows that cricket's in a wonderful place. And I think this World Cup has been a campaign that you've seen upsets, and I think that's what you want. As a player, I always loved seeing as many countries get an opportunity to play big tournaments like this as possible. I think you want the game to be spread all around the world. The more boys and girls that are playing, and I don't care if that's 2020 cricket, one-day cricket or test cricket. I just want, my 3.5-year-old little girl to get out of bed and say, Daddy, I want to play cricket. So the way you do that is let every country embrace it. And some of the upsets in this tournament has showed that the teams are a lot closer than you think. If you give Afghanistan a chance against India, they might beat them.
Afghanistan beating India in a one-day game? Not in my lifetime.
Not in. Alastair,
Which could be.
your memories of this World Cup? I mean, yes, it'll be different once England wins that trophy, but so far.
I think it's been a great balance between bat and ball, actually. The thing how we're going into this tournament, people saying sometimes one-day cricket is just too dominated by batsmen. Actually, all four of us wouldn't minded that, but actually, 260, 270 seems some seriously skillful bowlers as well. The way they fought back against the batters, the knuckleballs people are bowling, the different slower balls, I think it's been great to watch. But my overriding memory will be if Owen Morgan stands up there and wins the trophy. Edgbaston on the semi-final was such a great day for English cricket to play like they did there. If they can back it up again on Sunday, that will be almost 4 years of Owen Morgan, Andrew Strauss, Trevor Bayliss as an England fan now sitting down. This is when we got humiliated in 2015 to then turn it around in those 4 years, and will be a fantastic effort. It'll be a great story. And
would you want a change in format if this format stays and make it like the IPL, that you have a chance if you've topped the group twice a crack at the final, or would you want a semi-final like the way it is?
I don't know what the answer is, but they're the two things I'd like to see. I'd like to see one-day cricket stay, both teams play in the exact same conditions on that day, and I'd like to see whoever finishes first to have some sort of advantage.
What's my high point? My high point is India versus Pakistan, Manchester. Not that India won, but India and Pakistan fans watched together in the most amiable manner. They enjoyed a game of cricket and proved to the world that sport actually transcends boundaries. That for me was my takeaway from this World Cup as well, among many others. Final prediction from my four panelists before I close the show. Clive Lloyd, who's winning?
Any bookies around here? No, I think England's got that edge because they have, I think they have depth in their batting, they have variety. But New Zealand, you never know. You never know. It all depends on if it's a sort of day where it's overcast and they have to bowl first and they make some inroads. It could be a different game. But I would think England would just, I think, be ahead of the New Zealand.
Michael? Say England, feel sad, say England.
New Zealand are going to flog England.
Sunil Gavaskar.
Well, I think England, the way they have played the last three matches, particularly yesterday, that was outstanding cricket. They also beat New Zealand about a week ago, less than a week ago, to qualify for the semis. So clearly, I think they have the mental advantage. If I was to advise New Zealand, I would only say one thing. Just look at, the fact that Jason Roy, when he didn't play, those were the 3 games that England lost.
Get Jason Roy.
So somehow or the other, if you want to win, like it happened in 1983, there was one player who didn't play 2 matches, the 2 matches that India lost. But otherwise, every other match that he played, India won. So similarly, if New Zealand can somehow do something to Jason Roy, put something in his breakfast cereal or something like that, then 100%.
Alastair, I won't ask you who you're backing, but if England wins, tell me what Alastair Cook is doing. Virat Kohli would have opened his shirt on Oxford Street. I don't want you to do that, but he saved himself. But what are you doing? I mean, what's the plan? If England does win, what do you think you will do and this country will do?
I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm playing Warwickshire next week, so I'll have to be, hopefully I'll get a few and then I can watch the final and Essex beat Warwickshire on a really boring note. But the country, it'll be really big for England cricket, and also it'll create us great momentum just to take the Ashes as well. It'll be the perfect summer of English cricket. Yeah. There you go. I predicted everything right so far, so come on, give me one more time.
Lovely. On that note, if you're an Indian fan, not every story has a happy ending. But if you're an England fan, this story, 3 times unlucky, the 4th time. Last year, this time, the England football team lost in that semi-final. This time round, the cricket team scripting history at Lord's, making themselves immortal, a new beginning, a new song, a new lifeline for cricket. That's all I have for you on Game Plan Legends in England. One final time. Fanatic Sports and Star Sports, thank you very much. And to my audience, thanks for watching.